Hello Year 10s, welcome to the marking video of the reproduction and cell division exam. So we'll start with question 1. When humans reproduce, chromosomes and genes are passed on to the next generation, in other words to offspring. And each of the questions below, you need to draw a ring around the correct answer to complete the sentence. So a gene is a small section of DNA. Cellulose is actually found in cell walls of plants. And question 2, the sex chromosomes in human males, they are X and Y. This is in a male. The female ones are X and X. And Y, there just isn't an Y and Y. Question C, most human body cells, they contain 46 chromosomes. This is what we call the full set of chromosomes, is 46. The half set is only found in gametes. And 92, we'll see later, is when it doubles in both mitosis and meiosis. The number of chromosomes in a human gamete or a sex cell is half the number in the body cells because they have 23, whereas the body cells have 46. And finally, gametes are produced by meiosis. Mitosis is a way of making body cells, and fertilization is when the sperm cell and the ovum meet. So sperm cell and egg cell or ovum fuse together, and that's fertilization. Next question. We have sex cells are produced by meiosis. Now to remember that is that meiosis makes me and you, and so you need to make gametes to make me and you, so it's produced by meiosis. And we are describing what happens to the chromosomes when cell divides by meiosis. So more really specifically, if it's asking about chromosomes, you're thinking to yourself number. So on the side here, I've drawn a little picture of what happens. So in meiosis, you start off with 46 chromosomes. The first thing that happens is duplication. It doubles up into 92. There are 2 divisions. First division, that makes 2. And then the second division, which is over here, that makes 4 different gametes. So what happens to the chromosomes? Firstly, the chromosomes are duplicating to 92. The cell will divide twice, and so that each gamete will have a single set of chromosomes. More specifically, they have 23 chromosomes. So where the marks go, you are looking for that the chromosomes duplicate, and afterwards they end up with each gamete, and there are a total of 4. Will receive a single set of chromosomes, or 23 chromosomes. Next, Darwin's theory of natural selection depends on the fact that individual organisms within a species may show a wide range of variation. Variation means a change in a population. So explain how meiosis and sexual reproduction give variation. Well, firstly, during sexual reproduction, there is fertilization. So this is that first point. Fertilization. This is when gametes fuse. And so offspring, again to do with meiosis, offspring receive genes from both parents. Because they're receiving genes from both parents, they will have a mix of the two. So mix of genes. And if they have a mix of the genes from both parents, that will lead to variation. Next question, mutations may give rise to variations as well. What is meant by mutation? Well, mutation is a change in DNA. You could also say the change in genome, or you can say change in gene or genetic information. That's fine, as long as you are specific that it is a change. Next, some mutations are harmful, or are all mutations harmful? Explain the reason for your answer. Now, firstly, it's no, but you don't get the mark for saying no. There are 2 range of answers that you can give. So the first type of answer you can give with the explanation is that some are neutral. For example, neutral mutation would be polydactyly. Polydactyly is when you have either extra digit or fingers or toes, and that's not harmful in any way. Those people who do have that can have surgery to get them removed, or they are completely fine, they survive to old age. So you have the explanation here, so someone neutral. Another version, so that's 1 and 2, another one for 1 and 2, so with the reason and the explanation is that some of them are beneficial. For example, black pepper moths can camouflage the blackened trees, or you could mention about Darwin's finches could get specific food types like seeds or worms depending on the shape of their beak. And why is that important? Is because they are more likely to survive. So you either choose that they are neutral, such as polydactyly, they're not harmful in any way, or beneficial, which you give an example of moths or of finches, Darwin's finches, or even antibiotic resistant bacteria. Next question. Here shows the 3 types of cells in a life history of a simple animal. So we have the normal body cells. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, why is it saying 32 chromosomes? This says a simple animal, not human. If it was human, we would say 46. But this is just an animal they've chosen. They can choose as many chromosomes as they want. So this animal has 32. They lead to reproductive cells, egg and sperm cells. So here you're thinking to yourself, okay, the normal body cell has a full set of chromosomes, which is 32, whereas the reproductive cells, the gametes, are going to have half that. So if the gametes have half of 32, that means that they have 16 chromosomes each. Because when they fuse together to make a fertilized egg, they fuse 16 plus 16, you get back the full set again, which is 32. And you're thinking to yourself, how are they making, for example, from normal body cells to gametes? You must be thinking meiosis. And how are they getting a full set 32 to 32? This cell division will be mitosis. So this is the thinking you should have as you go through reading a question. So how do the chromosomes of the body cell compare to the chromosomes in the fertilized egg in which they came from? Well, they're going to have the same number of chromosomes. As I've said, they're 32. And lastly, which are identical. So they have the same set, which is 32, same number, 32. And they are identical. Next, describe what happens to the chromosomes in the nucleus of a body cell when it forms reproductive cell. Again, in a body cell to reproductive cell, this is a process of meiosis. So essentially, you are describing the process of meiosis. So again, I've drawn it on the side, but this time I'm using their numbers because we do not start off with 46. Instead, this time we're starting off with 32. So there's 32. It doubles, it duplicates into 64, doubles, 64. You have the first division where it makes 32, and then the second division where you end up with 4 with 16 in each. So to get the full 4 marks for this question, you need to refer it back to this example. You shouldn't be having numbers such as 64 or 23 or 92. Instead, you should be having 32, 64 and 16, because this example starts off with 32 chromosomes. So firstly, the chromosomes duplicate. Now you shouldn't be writing to 92, in this case to 64. There are 2 divisions. There are 4 daughter cells, but more importantly, each of them have half the number of chromosomes, which are 16. So as I said, to get the full 4 marks, you need to refer it back to the example with the correct numbers here. Next question, we have a way of plants producing from tissue culture. So they take a plant, they remove a leaf, they put it in some agar to help it grow. They keep it in sterile, clean conditions and no pathogens. They put it and they plant it again. So this is a type of asexual reproduction. Give the main features of asexual reproduction. Well, there's always going to be one parent in asexual reproduction. There is no mixing of genetic material, so DNA isn't mixed around. That's why every single one of the offspring are clones. They are genetically identical. And finally, there is no fertilization, so no fusion of gametes. They are exact clones. Another method is by taking cuttings. Suggest one advantage of using tissue culture and not cuttings. So just so you're aware, cuttings are where you take a leaf and you literally put it into soil, and that is just taking a cutting. You're not taking it through putting it into agar jelly, keeping it into sterile and planting it again. So why is this method in this picture better than just taking cutting? Well, firstly, more plants are produced this way because more survive, and also there's less damage done to the parent plant. There are no marks for if you said about the speed or the cost of that. Question 5. Organisms are produced by asexual and sexual reproduction. As you can imagine, humans are all produced by sexual reproduction. You require both a male gamete and a female gamete for sexual reproduction. So give 2 differences between asexual and sexual reproduction. Well, the first difference is that asexual, and I'm only going to talk about asexual. You could have done the converse, meaning talk about sexual. Asexual is only one parent. There's no variation because these are clones. There is no mixing of genetic information, and there's no fertilization, again fusion of gametes. Because of this, they are exactly the same. They are all genetically, asexual reproduction produce genetically identical offspring. They are exactly the same. Fertilization, no fusion of gametes. Adult cell cloning is an example of asexual reproduction. Explain why. So you might have needed to go to your CGP guide or free science lessons to work out what adult cell cloning is. What happens is on the left here, there's an egg cell where the nucleus is removed. So you end up with an empty egg. The nucleus of the desired characteristic is added in. So this nucleus will be different from the one that was removed. And this means it is identical. This DNA is identical to the original person or organism it came from. So the nucleus added. So here I've written the nucleus is removed from the egg to make an empty egg cell. Then genetic information only comes from one parent because of this nucleus added in. Last question. Meiosis and mitosis are different types of division in human cells. We have to compare the 2 processes by referring where they take place and the kind of products that are made. So, firstly, mitosis and meiosis. It asks where each of these take place. So we need to know that meiosis is a way of producing gametes, and if it produces gametes, we know this happens if it's a male, it happens in the testes, and if it's a female, it happens in the ovaries, and that's 1 mark there. Mitosis, on the other hand, is because it's body cells, so this happens all around the body. The type of reproduction is that in mitosis it is in asexual reproduction, whereas meiosis is in sexual reproduction, because meiosis gives rise to variation. That's why you do not look exactly identical to your brothers and sisters. Number of divisions, there are 2 in mitosis, but 4 divisions in meiosis. So 2 divisions in mitosis, 4 divisions in meiosis. And the daughter cells in mitosis, they are a full set of 46 chromosomes, whereas the daughter cells in and they are genetically identical, whereas in meiosis there are 4 daughter cells and these are half. They are half the amount. They are not genetically identical. And finally, I've drawn a picture here that might explain this further. So in mitosis, you start off with 46. You double up to 92, and there is only 1 division to make 46, and these are identical. Whereas in meiosis, you start off with 46, you double up to 92, you have the first division and a second division to produce 4 gametes with half the amount of chromosomes, which are genetically different. They are not the same, different. and that's the difference. And if you make this table and you learn this table really clearly, you'll get it correct. Please give yourself a mark out of 30 at the front of your paper, and your teachers look forward to reading this.